Listen carefully. This message is not an accident. You did not click on this video by mistake. God brought you here for a reason. Because something is happening in your life right now that your spirit understands. Even if your mind cannot explain it yet. You have been crying silently, fighting battles nobody sees, smiling in front of people while breaking inside. And lately, you have felt different, separated, disconnected from everyone around you. You tried to fit in, you tried to explain yourself. But nobody truly understands the weight you carry. Hear this clearly. That isolation was not rejection. It was preparation. God was removing noise so you could finally hear his voice. And right now, he is saying, "My child, the season of confusion is ending. The pain was not punishment. The delay was not denial. The silence was not abandonment. I was preparing you, training you, strengthening you in hidden places. Because where I am taking you, you cannot go weak. You cannot go distracted. You cannot carry fake people into your next season." Listen carefully. The betrayal broke your heart, but it revealed who was never truly with you. The loneliness hurt deeply, but it forced you to depend on God instead of people. The waiting exhausted you, but it built spiritual endurance inside you. And now, something is shifting. You can feel it. The spiritual pressure, the strange dreams, the emotional heaviness. The sudden distance between you and certain people, the attacks increasing for no reason. Hear this clearly. Hell does not attack people who have no purpose. The enemy attacks what threatens him. And your future terrifies darkness. That is why the warfare became intense. That is why people turned against you without explanation. That is why you felt drained, tired, misunderstood, forgotten. Because spiritually, you are close, closer than you realize. God says, "Do not quit now, because the breakthrough is hiding behind this battle. And what is coming will make the pain worth it." Pause, breathe that in, because this message is for the chosen ones, the ones who suffered quietly, the ones who loved deeply and got betrayed, the ones who stayed loyal while others walked away, the ones who cried at night but still prayed, the ones who almost gave up, but somehow kept going. God says, "I saw every tear, I heard every prayer, and I was with you the entire time, even in silence, especially in silence, because some of God's greatest work happens in hidden seasons. Seeds grow underground before they break through the surface, and you have been underground spiritually, buried in pain, buried in confusion, buried in loneliness. But hear this carefully. You were not buried to die. You were planted to rise. And your rising season is approaching. Listen carefully. One of the hardest parts about being chosen by God is feeling alone. Not physically alone, spiritually alone. You walk into rooms and feel disconnected. You sit around people and still feel isolated. You try to explain what you feel inside, but words fail you, because your spirit knows something your surroundings cannot understand. God has marked you differently. That is why your life has never been ordinary. Hear this clearly. Chosen people often suffer in silence before they rise in power. Joseph was betrayed before he ruled. David was hunted before he became king. Jesus was rejected before resurrection came. And you have been in that hidden chapter, the chapter nobody celebrates, the chapter where God removes people quietly, the chapter where prayers seem unanswered, the chapter where heaven feels silent. But silence does not mean absence. God is closest when he is preparing transformation. Listen carefully. The heartbreak changed you. You trusted people who betrayed you. You loved people who abandoned you. You stayed loyal to people who secretly envied you. And after every disappointment, you started building walls around your heart. You stopped talking as much, stopped trusting as easily, stopped expecting people to stay. Hear this clearly. God allowed certain people to leave because they could not go where He is taking you. Some people were assignments, not destinies. Some relationships were lessons, not lifetimes. And the pain of losing them was actually protection. God says, "They betrayed you because I exposed them. They walked away because they could not carry your future. They misunderstood you because your spirit disturbed their darkness." Listen carefully. You kept asking, "Why am I always the one who suffers? Why do people always leave? Why does life feel harder for me?" Because your life carries weight, spiritual weight, calling purpose, and purpose attracts warfare. The enemy studies people who threaten his kingdom. That is why your mind became a battlefield. That is why anxiety attacked you. That is why discouragement followed you. That is why exhaustion wrapped around your spirit. Because something powerful is inside you. Hear this clearly. The enemy fights hardest when elevation is near. And right now, he knows something is changing. God is waking you up spiritually. You have noticed it. The desire to separate from negativity, the sudden sensitivity to fake energy, the discomfort around certain people, the urge to pray more, the hunger for peace, the strange feeling that your old life no longer fits. That is not coincidence. That is awakening. God is removing old versions of you, because the next level of your destiny requires transformation. Listen carefully. Transformation hurts, because growth requires death. Old habits must die. Old attachments must die. Old thinking must die. Sometimes God isolates you because He is rebuilding you. And rebuilding feels lonely. Nobody claps during construction. Nobody sees the hidden process, but heaven sees it. God sees it. Every night you cried alone, God saw it. Every moment you wanted to quit, God saw it. Every silent battle inside your mind, God saw it. And hear this clearly. None of it was wasted. The pain taught you discernment. The betrayal taught you wisdom. The loneliness taught you dependence on God. The silence taught you faith. You are stronger now. Wiser now, more spiritually alert now, and the same people who ignored you will not recognize the person you are becoming. Listen carefully. God says, stop mourning what left. Some people had to leave so you could grow. You were shrinking yourself to keep others comfortable. You were dimming your light so insecure people would accept you. But no more. Hear this clearly. You were not created to blend in. You were created to stand apart. Different mindset, different spirit, different assignment. That is why normal environments exhaust you. Your spirit was built for deeper things. And lately, God has been exposing everything around you. Fake friends, jealousy, manipulation, spiritual distractions. Because He is protecting your destiny. Listen carefully. Not everyone clapping for you is for you. Some people study your light while secretly hoping you fail. But God says, no weapon formed against you will prosper. Even the attacks became part of your preparation. Even the suffering built your endurance. Even the delay strengthened your spirit. Hear this clearly. The chosen are often misunderstood before they are understood. People judge what they cannot spiritually recognize. That is why they called you too emotional, too intense, too different, too quiet, too spiritual. But your spirit has always sensed things others ignore, and God says, I gave you that sensitivity for a reason. You were never crazy. You were discerning. You were picking up spiritual warfare. You were feeling atmospheres. You were sensing danger before it arrived. Listen carefully. The world tried to make you doubt yourself. But heaven is reminding you who you are. You are chosen, protected, anointed, set apart. and despite everything you survived, you are still standing. That alone is proof that God's hand is on your life, because many people would have broken under what you endured. But somehow, you survived, you kept moving, you kept praying, you kept believing, even while wounded. And God says that endurance is about to be rewarded. Something is opening, doors you could not force, favor you did not expect, peace you have not felt in years, restoration, healing, clarity. And hear this clearly. The people who betrayed you cannot stop what God already decided. Your destiny is not controlled by human opinion. When God says yes, no darkness can reverse it. Listen carefully. You are entering a season where everything will begin making sense. The delays, the heartbreaks, the loneliness, the waiting. You will realize God was protecting you from things you begged for. And one day, you will thank God for the closed doors, because some doors were disasters disguised as opportunities. Hear this clearly. God is not late. He is precise. Divine timing feels painful while waiting, but perfect when understood later. And your timing is approaching. Stay faithful, stay prayerful, stay spiritually awake, because heaven is moving behind the scenes right now. And your life is about to change. Listen carefully. Before God elevates a chosen person, He transforms them. And transformation is painful, because God cannot pour destiny into an unprepared spirit. So before the blessing arrived, the breaking came first. Before elevation, isolation. Before victory, warfare. Before clarity, confusion. Hear this clearly. What you thought was destruction was actually reconstruction. God was tearing down old versions of you, the fearful version, the desperate version, the people-pleasing version, the version addicted to approval. Because where God is taking you, you must know your worth spiritually. Listen carefully. You kept begging people to stay, begging for love, begging for understanding, begging for support. But God says, I allowed disappointment so you would stop depending on humans to validate you. Because chosen people cannot build their identity on temporary people, your identity must come from God. And lately, God has been teaching you painful lessons, lessons through silence, lessons through betrayal, lessons through loneliness, because suffering reveals what comfort hides. Hear this clearly. Pressure reveals character, fire reveals purity, storms reveal foundation, and your storms revealed strength you did not know you had. Look at yourself. You survived things that almost destroyed you. There were nights you cried until you slept. Moments you felt emotionally numb. Moments you questioned everything. Moments you wondered if God forgot about you. But He never left. Not once. Even when you could not feel Him, He was carrying you. Listen carefully. The chosen often walk through seasons where heaven feels silent, but silence is not abandonment. Sometimes God goes quiet because He is testing faith. Will you trust Him without signs? Will you keep believing without evidence? Will you continue praying when nothing changes? That is real faith, and your faith has been refined through fire. Hear this clearly. God is preparing you for influence, for impact, for purpose bigger than your pain. That is why your attacks were personal. The enemy wanted you distracted, depressed, exhausted, hopeless, because hopeless people stop fighting. But something inside you refused to die, even after betrayal, even after rejection, even after disappointment. You still believed somehow. That was God sustaining you. Listen carefully. You are not weak because you feel emotional. Chosen people feel deeply because their spirits are sensitive. Jesus wept. David cried out. Even strong warriors break emotionally sometimes. But hear this clearly. Your tears were never weakness. They were release. And God collected every one of them. every silent breakdown, every hidden prayer, every exhausted cry for help. He heard all of it, and now he is responding. Listen carefully. The season ahead will require courage, because God is about to remove distractions completely. Some people will walk away suddenly, some relationships will collapse unexpectedly, some environments will no longer feel comfortable. Do not panic. God is separating you from what no longer aligns with your calling, and separation always feels painful before it feels peaceful. Hear this clearly. Not everyone can go into your next season. Some people were connected to your past version, but your spirit is evolving now. You are awakening, and awakened people cannot keep sleeping spiritually. That is why certain conversations exhaust you now. That is why gossip feels empty. That is why negativity drains you. Your spirit is changing. God is pulling you higher. Listen carefully. You have underestimated yourself for too long. You survived spiritual battles that should have destroyed you. You carried pain while still helping others. You encouraged people while secretly fighting darkness yourself. And God says, I saw your hidden strength. The world only saw your wounds, but heaven saw your endurance. And endurance creates warriors. Hear this clearly. You are entering a season where your spirit will become stronger than your fear. The old anxiety will lose power. The old confusion will fade. The old insecurity will break, because God is rebuilding your identity. You are not what happened to you. You are who God says you are. Chosen, anointed, protected, called. Listen carefully. Stop apologizing for being different. Your difference is your assignment. You were never meant to think like everybody else, move like everybody else, follow crowds blindly. God separated you because your destiny requires spiritual awareness. And hear this clearly. The loneliness was training. The heartbreak was pruning. The warfare was preparation, because your future requires strength most people never develop. And now, after all the suffering, comes transformation. You are becoming emotionally stronger, spiritually sharper, mentally wiser, more discerning, more connected to God. And soon, people will see a different version of you. A calmer version, a wiser version, a spiritually powerful version. Listen carefully. God says, you are closer than you think. Closer to healing, closer to peace, closer to breakthrough, closer to answered prayers. Do not let temporary pain convince you that your future is hopeless, because suddenly everything can change. One prayer, one opportunity, one breakthrough, one divine connection. One moment with God can shift your entire life. Hear this clearly. The enemy wanted you to quit before your breakthrough arrived. That is why the pressure became unbearable. That is why your spirit felt exhausted. Because darkness attacks hardest before losing, and it is losing access to you now. God is restoring your strength, restoring your vision, restoring your hope. Listen carefully. You have spent enough years surviving. Now it is time to rise, time to heal, time to walk in purpose, time to stop doubting yourself, time to trust the calling God placed inside you, because you were never ordinary. Your pain had purpose, your suffering produced wisdom, your isolation created discernment, and your story will inspire people one day. The same wounds that almost destroyed you will become proof of God's power in your life. Hear this clearly. You are not abandoned. You are being prepared.